Hello and welcome, this is Melskinner, and we're back with some more BattleTech. Now, it has been brought to my attention that I have been mispronouncing Aregan. I believe I was calling it Arugan, and they do say it in a couple of the early cutscenes, and I just missed it, so I apologize for that. I'll endeavor to say it correctly from here on out. If you have made it this far into the series and you haven't gotten used to me butchering names of things, I commend your patience. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on. And what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be recovering from what we did in the last video, which was the major story battle that we had. And we have some damage to mechs, and I also have some knowledge that I've gained from another campaign that I've been playing that's, I've been doing on my own time, non-recorded. I haven't made it as far as I have in this campaign. I haven't really spoiled anything for myself as far as the way that the campaign goes, but I did learn some things because certain circumstances happened to me in that campaign that didn't happen to me in this one. And one of those is injuries to mech warriors. So I have discovered that injuries to mech warriors, they take quite a lot of time to heal. So you'll have a number of injuries, and that is dependent upon what your gut skill is. And also, how high your gut skill is going to determine how long it takes you to recover from said injuries. But with 3 guts like this, I believe it takes about 26 days to recover from a single injury. So as you can, kind of figure out from that it takes a lot of time. And the more injuries you have, the more time it takes. I had a mech warrior that had 4 guts, and he accumulated 2 injuries in one battle, and that was going to take 39 days to recover. So that's a lot of time. So I don't think that the 5 mech warriors we have is going to be enough. We should at least hire, I think, 1 more. Actually, yeah, 5. It says 4 out of 8, but I don't think they count my character, probably because I have my captain's quarters. So we could have an additional 4 mech warriors on top of this. But as I said, a minimum of 1 more I think would be a good idea. But we'll start off with repairs and refits. Now, obviously we need to refit the Centurion. Before I do that, though, you have to follow the timeline, and things are done in a certain order. So I'm going to repair the Vindicator, because I'd like to have a minimum of 4 mechs, and I think the Vindicator we could get up and running the fastest. I'm going to go ahead and repair that one first, and that's going to take 5 days. That's not too long. I'm going to probably purposely pick a contract that I'm going to have to travel to, so we'll recover the Vindicator and have that. So let's go ahead and repair that. The next thing I'm going to want to do, I mentioned we have to refit the Centurion because we only have 1 weapon in here, and for it to be effective, it needs to have more than that. But I also want to refit the Shadowhawk. Now, out of what components we have, I would like to have... I've been kind of thinking about what the change I want to make is. Okay, I do have an SRM6, so I think I'm going to swap out the LRM5, because one of the problems the Shadowhawk has is it has too many ammunition consuming weapons, and they all require a different type of ammunition. So that's tonnage that's being taken up that's not really being shared amongst the different weapon systems. So it's not really an efficient setup. And if I remember correctly, this says equip and repair. So we can do the repairs at the same time we do the refit. So let's go ahead and click this. And as I said, I already have an SRM6. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the LRM5 and the LRM ammo. So that's going to remove a ton of ammo that were, as you can see, there's a ton of ammo, there's a ton of ammo, and there's a ton of ammo. By getting rid of the LRM5, now I only have 2 tons of ammo for the different weapon systems. Now I'm also going to replace the SRM2, and I'm going to replace it with that SRM6. So we'll slot that in here because it won't fit in this other slot here. And I'll just put the jump jet like that. Okay, another thing I'd like to do is I'd like to add on, because now we have an extra ton to work with, because again, that LRM ammo isn't there anymore. I would like to add in a small laser, because I'm going to be using this as, and this, a lot of the setup I'm doing here, with the Shadowhawk the way it is, it's a jack of all trades with the weapons it can do. It can do long range and it can do short range, but it can do neither one really all that well. It's not putting out a lot of damage. But I already have mechs that are in the support role, or ones that will be using long-range weaponry. I have the Vindicator and I have the Blackjack. I don't need a 3rd mech to do that. I need a mech that's going to be up front and is going to tank for us and is going to brawl for us. And by swapping out the LRM5 and changing it out for an SRM6, we're increasing the damage we're doing, but we're also giving us more close range potency. And then with the addition of the small laser, which I think this is the only slot I can put it in, so we'll put it over there. We're going to increase that short-range firepower just a little bit more, but it's also going to give us a little bit of melee damage, because when you do a melee attack, you can fire support weapons, so the small laser will also be fired, and we're going to more than likely be using it that way. Now, I still have a half ton left, and I could go one of two ways with this, and I think the way I'm going to go is I'm going to add in another jump jet. I'd like to have a little bit more distance on our jump range. We only have 3. I would like to have more than that so that we can have a little bit more effective jump range. So I'll go with that. I could have done armor instead, which would have been nice as this mech would have been used in that tank role, as I mentioned. But, you know, this works as well. This puts us pretty close to the loadout of what a Wolverine would have, but we don't have a Wolverine right now, so we're just going to have to make do with what we have. I'm also going to hit the repair buttons here. I guess you have to hit all of them, so we'll repair, repair, and repair. Okay, so all of our warning messages have gone away. Let's go ahead and hit confirm and find out what kind of time frame we have. So we have 18 days, and that's going to cost us 20,000. That's not too bad. Let's go ahead and confirm that.
Right. I'll get it in the schedule.
Okay, so as you can see, we are doing one at a time. So the Vindicator's going to take 5 days, and the Shadowhawk's going to take 23. Now, if it comes out to it, where I may be able to get that Shadowhawk out in time, I may switch these around, which you can do by hitting Manage Tasks. But for now, that's what we're going to do. Now, for the Centurion, I really don't know what we're going to do. I would like to put it in the default setup if I can. But I don't have an autocannon 10. I don't have an AC 10. So I can't do that. I think I have everything else I would need. So I need at least 2 medium lasers, and I need an LRM 10. So I have that, and I have the LRM ammo. But what I need is an AC-10. I have the ammo for an AC-10, but I don't have the actual weapon system. So I don't know if I can buy that from the store. Let's go ahead and check. All right. No, the only two auto cannons I see is the AC-2 and the AC-5, at least is from what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, that seems to be the case. It doesn't surprise me too much. Now, we could set up the Centurion anyway, and probably I'd go with an AC-5 in that case. You do have to work with the slots you're given. I don't know what I would do outside of that, though. Let's take a look at how many slots we have and what we could work the Centurion to have if we wanted to. Now, I have to consider the fact that's going to take me even more time, because this would be my lowest priority to get this set up. And once I get an autocannon 10, I'm going to want to put it right back to its default. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with that just yet. But let's take a look at the slots. So we have one ballistic slot. That would be the autocannon, either the 10, that would be what I would prefer, or an AC-5, which we do have, I believe, anyway. Yeah, we have one right here. And then we have 3 missile slots and 2 laser slots. Well, an autocannon 5 is a lot lighter than a AC-10. After giving it some thought, I'm going to hold out for the default loadout of the Centurion, which is going to require that autocannon 10. So I either have to get it through salvage, or I have to find it at a store. And I don't know when that's going to happen. And I really don't want the Centurion to sit here in this bay slot if I'm not going to be using it. The whole point of these bays is to have backups. You need 4 mechs, and then you have 2 backups. This right now, the Centurion's not a backup. So I think the better move here would be to move the commando that we do have and put it up into this slot. So I'm going to go ahead and send this mech to storage. That is going to remove the medium laser, which I don't think is that big of a deal, but I'm going to have to spend the money, the resources, the time to refit it anyway. So I don't think it's that big of a deal to put it into storage. So let's go ahead and do that. That does happen instantaneously. Now we get to find out what happens when we bring a mech out of storage. So I'm going to go ahead and ready this. And it will take 3 days to ready. So we'll do that. So I do regret having the Centurion stay and we send the commando down, but I didn't know what all I had as far as components and what have you. And if we immediately get an autocannon 10, I'm going to kind of regret that. But it is what it is. Let's go ahead and look at contracts now and see what kind of travel time we're going to have, and then determine what order we want things to happen based off of that. So we do have a travel time of 22 days, and it will take 18 days to get the Shadowhawk up and running. I could have that commando ready in time for this as well. But I can't do... We're actually 1 day off. Now, I could wait for the Shadowhawk and for the Vindicator to be ready. I mean, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's only a difference of a day. So yeah, that's probably what we're going to go for. Because right now on our timeline, it's 5 and 23 days. That's not too bad. 1 extra day. We'll go with that. Before we leave, though, let's go ahead and take a look at the hiring hall. Okay. So...
Yes, Commander.
Most of these... Oh, one thing I should point out, and this is something I also kind of discovered as I was playing around with the game. Under the Mech Warrior section, there's a tab, and this is where we had that one event that popped up, and it said something about the one character being a technician. I believe it was Medusa here. We're under their service record right there. So they have certain attributes, and I believe this is, you know, things with their personality. So when you do have one of those pop up, those random events happen, you know, these things can affect. So because this guy was a technician, we were able to get a choice there that was to our benefit. So with that in mind, the hiring hall, when we're looking at people, I think we get a little bit of an indicator of what kind of traits we're probably going to see. But it's not really laying them out to you. So we know that this person's nobility and where they're from. And I think all of the people here so far... Okay, so we have Davian nobility here.
Yes, Commander.
Regan nobility.
I hear ya.
And then the Kickstarter backer. Now, I don't know what to expect with these, and we have a very long little story here, if we want to go that route. Now, I would like to have a backup scout. Right now, I don't feel like I have one. We could train somebody for that purpose. In that regard, we're going to want somebody that has tactics. So we have the Davian nobility, and this guy here has 3 tactics, and then we have...
Yes, Commander.
Jalopy has 3 tactics. And good gunnery as well. Not good in piloting or guts. It looks like Rodeo is about the same, so it's a difference of their traits here. So we've got Noble Air and we've got Officer Training School. They're both nobility and from the same location, so that's not anything too different. This guy doesn't have any other background thing. So if I were to guess which one would be better, so, I mean, let's read it. So we know about the Regan Coalition. The descendants of those families style themselves lords and ladies. Is that any different than the thing here? Okay, members of the ruling class of the Federated Sons are celebrated as the inheritors of the ancient lineages of European nobility. Heroes of the Federated Sons, internal mythology. Okay.
Good to go.
I don't know if there'd be more prestige for somebody being inner sphere or what have you. I know it seems somewhat appropriate to have an Regan nobility. I mean, that's probably why there's a bunch of them here, because we just had the thing, that mission where maybe this is a rallying point for them. Okay, so Noble Heir. It says the heir to a noble family often receives training and piloting the ancestral battle mech. In some families, the heir is guaranteed wealth, and others, the family name and lineage is all the wealth they possess. Okay, and then Jalopy. Officer Training School. And most militaries of the Inner Sphere, command is reserved for members of the noble class, which she is, who are trained in tactics and logistics and military academies. Well, that sounds like what we want, right? And gunnery skill is good. I mean, yeah, he's good too. But I guess we'll go with her. They're the same price as far as monthly and as far as starting price. So we'll go with her. I'm actually curious, though, if more traits cost you more, right? Because this person here is just... Yeah, you know what? It looks like the extra little background trait, those indeed cost you more to acquire that person. Now, the Kickstarter person, we don't get any of that stuff, so, you know, yeah, you get the story here, and maybe you'd be able to divine from that their background. But, yeah, it does seem like you're paying extra for this. All right, well, as I said, we're going to go with Jalopy here and hire her. Okay.
New mech warriors available.
And I probably will make it a priority to use some of our lesser experienced mech warriors first. We also have the ability to get some experience usage here. So we could train Medusa as a scout. We already have the piloting thing. Or we could go, well, I mean, honestly, getting this wouldn't be that big of a deal. We could eventually get him to be a ace pilot, which is going to be pretty good for a hit and run attacker. So that could be the way we go with him. Decker's our current scout, and I wouldn't mind having the master tactician from him. I think for my character, I'm going to end up going down the route of the gunnery. I feel like we do need another pilot that focuses on that skill. And, you know, we are given the Blackjack, which is kind of a support mech. So I think that's the route I'm going to end up going. So I'm going to go ahead and take the gunnery skill now, so we can get that multi-target. And we'll confirm. And that will change me from a recruit to a gunner, which I think is appropriate anyway, because I'm Mouse Gunner after all. Okay.
Orders.
And she starts with 0 experience, which I think that makes perfect sense.
Ready for orders.
Let's see what her background is. So, officer, military, Canopian. Oh, okay. I mean, just because she was a Regan nobility, I mean, I was a Regan nobility as well, but I was from somewhere else. So, all right. So she's Canopian, but she's a noble. She's athletic. She's from the periphery. Okay. I mean, let's go through over the other ones because I don't think I have yet. So he is a Regan. He's cautious, which is, you know, I don't know how that affects things. Again, it's probably the pop-up things. He's from the periphery. He's a technician, an officer, a mech warrior, and has a military background. So we have some shared traits between these two.
Waiting on you, Commander.
She is federal. So she's from the Federated Suns, and she's from the Inner Sphere because, again, she's a criminal. So a little bit different background here, and then she's brave. Decker is Capellan, again, Inner Sphere, has command experience, is a mech warrior, an officer, is also a noble, and has a military background, which makes sense with the other things that go there. And he's a spacer, which I believe, yeah, it means he's used to low gravity and, you know, being on a space station or a ship. Okay, and then finally we have Behemoth, who is brave, a criminal. So we have 2 criminals on the ship. Has military background, is also a spacer, is from the Illyrian Commonwealth, and is from the Inner Sphere, of course. And my character has the American ancestry, a noble family, a loner, and is a career soldier. So a little bit different, little titles here, but probably similar to some of the other things we've seen. All right, well, that's pretty interesting stuff. Let's go on to what we're going to do in the rest of this video. So I would like to go through some of just the dialogue with the characters here. I think we may have missed out on some of it with Sumair. There was a dialogue choice I think I saw before that we didn't pursue, and I don't think it's here anymore. You did good work back on Exilius. If you hadn't gotten Dr. Marud and her crew down safely, none of us would have made it off that rock. Okay, I guess we're just praising her here. Just doing my job, Commander. You mech warriors are the ones who take all the real risk. Actually, I take that back. The job put all of us at risk. You know what I'm talking about? The pirate point. I don't know how much you know about misjumps, but, well, they're really, really bad. You could wind up in the heart of a star or in the middle of nowhere, crash on some godforsaken rock, with my luck, a rock that's infested with fetid, screeching, mite-infested birds. Okay. Let's just be glad that didn't happen. Oh, believe me, I'm glad. I like myself in one piece, and I'd prefer it if I could stay that way. All right. I'm gonna guess, even though it's, you know, saying that we haven't said this before, I'm gonna guess this is just the tutorials. Yeah, of course. Again, I don't know if it's gonna give us more here. Yeah. Okay, so it reset every time we're at a new spot. It kind of resets their conversations. So we did miss out on one conversation. So in between us doing that story mission and completing it, there was something we could have talked about with her. I think it was like, what did you think about that pirate jump? And, you know, obviously we know what she would have said about that. Okay, let's go to Yang, see if he has anything new to say. All right, well, you want to talk about our new employer? Lady Arano? Yeah. Look, I know that you two go way back. You had the same teacher and all that. Hell, you were working for her on the day of the coup. If you hadn't been doing that, you never would have joined this crew. I'm not sure that I trust Lady Arano or Lord Madeira. Well, I don't know about that either. I don't know, maybe I'm leaping to judgment. I like having money, so I hope that I am. There's just something about the idea of working for yet another shadowy aristocrat power player that I don't like. For what it's worth, though, I hope she proves me wrong. Okay, and then all the other stuff should be more or less repeats. Now, we didn't go over all of the tutorial stuff, but I'm not going to go over that. I mean, I know how the weapon systems work, more or less. At least I think I do. All right, so all we have left to talk to is Darius, so we'll do him. So we're working for Lady Arano now. That was a surprise. You're telling me the whole Reach has thought she was dead for 3 years now. Yet, here she is. Gotta say, it feels pretty good to be on contract with House Arano again. Last time this happened, Commander Markham was still alive. All right, well, let's find out about Markham. We are, you know, it's his mercenary company, after all, that we took over. What kind of man was he? Markham was an ornery old bastard, but he got the job done. Great card player, and he shared my taste in holovids. We used to have these marathon viewing sessions. Have you ever seen These Gears Are Teeth? Great film, and a masterpiece of that genre. Markham always loved that one. I wish I could watch it again with him sometime. I generally do. Okay, was he a competent mech commander? More or less. He was a decent tactician, but an exceptional businessman. I wish you could have seen him in action, Mouse. His style was his odd mix of negotiating and holding court, and when it worked, it worked. Let me give you an example. I can't really do justice to Markham's style, but for the sake of the story, I'll try. You know our Draconis Combine rep, Hugo Renaud Yamaguchi. Markham gave him a nickname, Bob Corrida. Every time he used it, he was totally deadpan, and he always used the full name. You trying to pull the wool over our eyes, Bob Corrida? Tell me more about that assassination contract, Bob Corrida. Bob Corrida, you look tensed. Do you need a glass of wine? It sounds insulting, I know, but the crazy thing is, it worked. Something about the way Markham leaned into the stupid nickname tickled Shugo Yamaguchi pink. He'd giggle his way through every negotiation until tears were streaming down his cheeks. He had a routine like that for every liaison we dealt with. Some he'd rib, others he'd smooth talk. Everyone always left the table with a smile on their face. Anyway, that's all ancient history now. Markham is dead and gone. We buried his personal effects along with his memory, and we did right by his kin. Let's to leave the past behind us. This company isn't his anymore. Mouse, it's yours. So let's focus on what we're doing next and leave the past in the past. Okay. All right, well, that's that.
Catch you later, Commander.
Let's do our contract now. So I think we already know which one I'm going to take. And that's going to be the one that includes travel expense and has a little bit extra time. It's also less difficult and pays more, interestingly enough, both in salvage and money. I wonder why that is. We'll read up on it and see maybe there's some catch to it. So first off, this one is just a battle. We kind of are familiar with that. It's on lowlands, which is rolling hills and gentle slopes. It's probably where we are right now. Yeah, Alloway, which is why there's no travel expense included. which I don't want to do because we'd have to sit around for 20 plus days and not do anything. I'd rather have travel expense and move, and hey, again, better pay. Okay, unfortunately, satellite surveillance has shown local government units operating in the region. We're expecting to move our medical convoy through. We need a mercenary lance to sweep the area and eliminate any local government units. Please think of this contract as a mission of mercy. Okay, so I don't believe this mission of mercy line for a second, but there isn't anything here to be concerned about. All right, there's that. Our munitions factory on Detroit is under threat. I would like to actually go to Detroit. Maybe we'll get an autocannon there. All right, anyway, our munitions factory in Detroit is under threat because of a rumor about a cache of Star League equipment at the site. This malicious gossip about BattleTech has brought hungry wolves to our door. We have arranged for a garrison force to be moved into place, but we need mercenary units to protect the factory until our forces arrive. So I should probably explain this a little bit. BattleTech, I mean, as the name kind of gives you a hint at, it's lost technology. So this is from the Star League era. So the Star League era, there was much more advanced technology, and the Succession Wars, because of the destruction of the Succession Wars, a lot of that technology was lost. So the technology we're using now is not as advanced. So that's what they're talking about there. Setting aside the rumors of BattleTech, this contract is an excellent opportunity to take payment in mech parts and salvage rights, as local government mech techs are on site for recovery. So I guess that makes sense why we've got all this salvage. All right, let's negotiate it. Yeah, this I think is just the same kind of response we've seen before. The people we're taking the contract with is the planetary government, so not any particular force. I don't know, does it say who? Yeah, just probably pirates and brigands and what have you is who we'll be fighting. Okay, and it's defend base, and it's again lowlands, so that's going to be, not too, just, rolling hills, gentle slopes, that kind of thing, and woodlands. So no big mountains and what have you. All right, the pay I'm happy with, the salvage I'm happy with. We could go harder on the salvage, but we lose a lot of cash in doing that. I think 2 and 10 is fine. Let's go with that. We could go hardcore and go all salvage, but I'd like a little bit of cash here. So let's go with this.
Roger that, Commander. Course plotted.
And away we go. Okay, so we've got another one of these pop-ups. Organized chaos. On the morning briefing, Yang jumps right in. Commander, the leopard is too small. My mech techs keep tripping over everything. Chief, we've talked about this, Darius says in exasperation. We can't exactly knock down any walls. Meyer inserts herself. What if we move some supplies into other parts of the leopard? The bunks, the kitchen? Hell, I'll even store some boxes in the cockpit if it'll help. Okay, tell Yang to just make do. Move only a small amount of supplies. Fill every last corner of the leopard with mech bay supplies. I think the middle ground here is probably the better thing to do. I don't want to do this because I think it would hurt morale because you're moving it into the living quarters of your crew. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. But I would like to at least do something here. So rather than just ignore him, let's move only a small amount of supplies. Okay. We get +1 tech point, a boost for 14 days. So that may actually accelerate our readiness. So right now, I can actually see it. So we're traveling to Detroit. That's going to take 20 days. We'll have all of these guys ready in time for that. Now, the commando I would probably not be able to set up, but that's okay because we'll have enough mechs to work with when we get there. But once we get to the 18 days, I'm going to want to have him start working on getting the commander refitted. Now, I don't have all the equipment to get it to its default setup, but I at least be able to do something with that. Okay, so let's read the text, though. Over the next several days, everyone helps move the least critical mech bay supplies to other parts of the Leopard. While emotions do get heated over the next week, the short duration of the project encourages patience. Before long, Yang and his technicians reclaim their supplies. His mood, at least, is much better than everyone else's. When you arrive in the mech bay, he's grimly satisfied with the amount of reorganization he managed in the short period of time. So, right there, I think if we had pushed more, we would have lost morale. So I think this was the right choice. Okay, we got a pause because of that. Let's just go ahead and keep playing. I mean, there's nothing else I'm going to want to do here until we get the commando done. So we'll just play until that happens. I think it will automatically pause at that point, but I don't know that for certain. Now, I could wait until we get to Detroit and find out what they have in their store. And because I don't really necessarily need... Now, we only have that tech point for 14 days, though. So by the time that the commando is done, we won't have that anymore. I mean, I'll evaluate things once we get the commando done. Uh-oh, the last cup. On your way to the Leopard's Gallery, you run into Samire heading the same way. Commander, it's been a long week. I know I can't make more hours in the day, but I can make more coffee. When you enter the cramped galley and find Jalopy and Medusa in a tense standoff in front of a nearly empty coffee pot. Jalopy sees you. Commander, this is the last of the coffee. The XO says we won't have any more until the next supply run. All right, split the coffee between them. I mean, they're our crew. We are officers. We'll sacrifice for them. Exasperated, you squeeze your way past them into the galley and take 2 cups. Pouring the coffee equally into both, you say, if you can't act like adults, we'll have to resolve this like your children. Hand 1 cup to Jalopy and 1 to Medusa. Drink up. Next time I send you planet side, I expect you to make every single shot. After they leave, Samire sighs as she stares at the empty pot. That better have been worth it. Now excuse me while I go discuss shopping priorities with Darius. Okay, so they have high spirits for the next 30 days. I guess that was the right choice. Again, you know, when you're in command, oftentimes a good officer sacrifices himself for, you know, those under his command. So I think that was the right choice. Okay. Actually, I want to see what that does. Let's click on them real quick. I don't know where we see that, but you know, Jalopy has that, right?
Commander.
So high spirits. Mech warrior that have high spirits have the cost of their morale abilities lowered. Well, that sounds pretty good. So we'll make sure to use both of them in the next fight. Probably who I'm going to end up using is myself, obviously, because I'm a little bit behind, I think, some of the others. I'm going to use myself. Medusa, Jalopy, because she needs experience. And outside of that, it'd either be Behemoth, who I also think needs experience, or Decker. So I'll choose between either of those two. All right, well, let's go ahead and get back onto the traveling. But again, I'm going to want to pause as soon as we get the commando done. But it always pauses for you, I think, though. All work orders have completed. Yeah, so I mean, that's good. I'm glad that they do that. So now we can go into the mech bay and see about setting up the commando. So commando has no weapon systems. Now, I don't know if it would have had it if I had put it in here instead of the Centurion, maybe. But in any case, let's go ahead and look at the refit and what is it going to cost me? How long is it going to take? Those kind of things. And if it looks okay, we'll go with it. So the slots that we have to work with is mostly missile slots. We have 3 of those, 1 laser, and then we've got 1 support. So more than likely, well, let's first off, let's look how many tons we have. We have 8 tons to work with. Let's say we just get this out of the way and we put a medium laser in here. Because that just, that's the obvious thing to put in there. So that leaves us with 7 tons. We're going to need to allow for ammo. I could set this up, either way, honestly. I could set this up as a support mech. And now if I did that, it'd be an LRM-10 and then LRM ammo, and then I'd be done. I wouldn't have anything else. And, again, we do need indirect fire, but I feel like we already have a lot of support mechs. So should I go with stronger firepower? In that case, it would be probably the SRM-4s. Normally, you'd have an SRM-6 in this sucker, but We could fit 2 of these. Heck, even 3 of these if we wanted to. And 1 ton of ammo. Now, a ton of ammo is going to have at the bottom of the paragraph it says 100 rounds. So an SRM-4 fires 4 missiles. So if you think about that, that's quite a lot of missiles in just even 1 ton. That would be what, 25 shots for an SRM-4 just by itself. You know, that's pretty good. 2, you'd be cutting that in half, more or less. 3 would be stretching it. That would be a little bit too much for 1 ton of ammo. So if I did that, that would be... That'd be 5 tons, right? And we'd have 2 tons left over. I could go a large laser instead of the medium laser, and then we'd have other stuff to work with. Let's try that. So, large laser. That leaves us with only 3 tons. Then that would be an SRM-4 and the ammo for it. Which is not too bad. It's not a ton of firepower, though. The medium laser and 2 SRM-4s would be better. Because you think about it, this here is doing 32 damage max per. This does 40. So you're pretty close with just this one thing. And then the medium laser does 25. So you're reducing 15 damage here. Now you're gaining range with this. I kind of like doing the SRM-4s, but then I feel like you have tonnage left over that I'm not using. All right, well, let's see what happens with the SRM-4, and we could always go back to the large laser. I think those are our 2 options: large laser and an SRM-4, or we do 2, maybe even 3 SRM-4s. And a medium laser. It also might take less time to do a large laser because it's less systems. And then we need the ammo. Okay, so if we did that, we still have 2 more tons to go. I could do another SRM-4. How are we in heat efficiency? We're just fine. I could do another SRM-4. That would cost me... Well, you know, another thing I could do is I could do an SRM-2. And then I could do another ton of ammo. That wouldn't be too bad. And we're getting that little bit extra firepower. And it's actually getting me on par with what this mech would have normally, which would be an SRM-6 and an SRM-4. You don't have as good a heat efficiency, though, because having the bigger SRM-6 is actually more heat efficient. All right, well, in any case, I think that's the route I'm going to go. And I'm going to do the last ton is going to be SRM ammo, just so we have a little bit more there. That should be good. I mean, this is more or less very close to what the default loadout is. And honestly, I think it's pretty efficient. I could go with replacing the SRM-2 with an SRM-4, which would give us more firepower than we currently have. But we would be really running low on ammo. So it would be, you know, you only get a few shots, a little bit more heavy, but just only a few shots. All right, well, let's see what kind of time this would take. 17 days. Should I wait and see what we have at Detroit? Because if I make this change and I find that we have an AC-10 in Detroit, I'm going to be kind of pissed. So I think we cancel. But this is what I'm more than likely going to do. So we'll revert for now, and we'll, you know, not save the changes. But that is what I'm going to do if I don't find anything at Detroit. So go ahead and play. Play. There we go. And I'm not going to do the mission. It's going to ask me that. Not yet. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the store. It may not have an AC-10, but, you know, I think it was a good idea to wait. So I don't see an AC-10. So we lose out on a single day. It's not the end of the world, but that would have been the right, in my opinion, call. I could also wait until after the battle and see if we salvage an AC-10. That may not happen, but again, if it's only a day, is that big of a deal when it takes us 17 days to refit? So, and we might get an SRM-6 too, which, you know, is more heat efficient anyway. I can't buy one. I already checked. At least, and not in the other store I couldn't. Yeah, so we have an SRM4. Out of curiosity, what do we have in the hiring hall over here? Okay, so more nobility, commoner, Persian ship crew. Okay.
Standing by.
So we get a little bit different backgrounds over here.
Good to go.
Ready for orders.
And a lot less nobility. This guy has got mercenary experience. We don't have anybody that requires more rep. You can find people that require a certain rep level to be able to hire. I don't think we'd be at that level anyway. The other ones I've seen were at like 50 rep or something like that. But in any case, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. I hope you guys have enjoyed. It was just a lot of, setting up for the mission we're going to do. And, we're ready now, pretty much. We've got the mechs that we need to do this mission. We've got them repaired. We've got them refitted. That all worked out. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner signing out.